Remember that you can support the podcast via Patreon. The link is below. Otherwise, stay tuned for the podcast starting now. So on the podcast today, I'm joined by Packett, who's a corporate MC, professional speaker, stand-up comedian, author, strategic advisor. Quite a list there. So thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Darren. Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So with you being involved previously with Missing Link, and being in the business of telling stories there and helping people present better, among other things, what would you say are the basics when it comes to presenting an audience, and what would you say it lays a good foundation when talking to a crowd?
So we always tell people every presentation is written before it is designed, before it is delivered, right? That's the easiest way to explain to people. And the writing part of it is actually very important. You know, people often would get in touch and say, "Hey, please, can you just make our presentation look better?" And that wasn't the point, right? It wasn't necessarily about making it look good. It's about making the message land, making the message stick, making the message powerful, building a narrative that is so compelling that it drives your audience to do something or take action or think differently, whatever that may be. So a large part of any presentation, to bring it all the way back to the beginning, is that writing bit. How do you make it as effectively structured as possible? And over a period of a few years, and with refining and stuff, we were able to build a methodology that worked really, really well. That we always used to joke about hitting 95% of any presentation should follow our methodology, just to give us a bit of a leeway and a leg room. But I'm telling you, I'm still to this day struggling to find the one presentation or any presentation that wouldn't be better by going through our methodology and how to build it. And the basic framework is you start by giving people a reason to care. You then give them a reason to believe, and that's in yourself or the research, whatever that may be. And then you tell them what they need to know, and that's the content of the information. So what is this? What is the stuff that I need to know? And then finally, and very importantly, you tell them what they need to do. And our very, very high level, the 4-step process. I mean, we take people on a full day training course, just in this right section alone. That Missing Link does, a Boredom Slayers presentation training series of writing a presentation, designing, and delivering, because it's crucially important that people get that structure right.
And when you were at Missing Link, and that obviously growing the business, Missing Link's been around for quite a while, but breaking into that corporate, the bigger corporate industries, and branching out maybe into international markets, and that, how did that come about? Was that word of mouth of the success of the business, or was it a more targeted approach, advertising from yourselves? How did that happen?
So but the business started in '97 when Rich started it, and it was, I think, his absolute crazy tenacity that drove the initial, I suppose, scaling and launch phase of the business. You know, he would go to meetings dressed in shorts and have a chain link to his wallet and tattoos and dodgy hair, and jump on boardroom tables. And if you've done any of the old school research on Rich, you'll find all of this stuff. And I think making an impact and making presentations, which for the most part we've seen is really dull and shit, into something that could be valuable, and helping people to understand that it can be fun. There can be energy brought to something, as traditionally corporate presentation is quite boring, and for us to go out and then slay that boredom. And for the first long part of Missing Link's journey, word of mouth was powerful. It was absolutely powerful, and it was traditionally through a lot of the financial institutions, the banks, insurance, that kind of things. So you work in the credit division, and those guys either tell someone else who's running a conference, or someone else joins their conference and go, "Damn, man, this is amazing. Like, who have you guys been working with?" And then that referral and word of mouth would spread. So a large part of what Missing Link did in the early days was definitely hard sales from Rich's perspective, because he was going out, I think, selling like a beast. But once you start generating good work, and once you start generating a good name, word of mouth becomes extremely powerful. of late, because everyone now can go do a TED talk, and everyone can build a presentation, because it's become a lot more accessible on how to build successful presentations. If you just research any kind of how to build a good prezzo on Google, you'll get 14 squillion answers. So our job of late has been, or one of our victory conditions a few years ago was to actually start advertising and getting our name out there. We were always very much in the wings, going, no, you're the rock star, you're on stage, we're here to just make you amazing. And then in this very competitive world that we're living in now, where anyone can be anything, you can YouTube how to talk to a giraffe if you really want to. So it's very easy to duplicate what we do on a high level. But when it comes to the real detailed stuff, that takes skill and expertise and experience. So while the business still has that, there's still a lot of competition. So we've gone on more of a marketing journey over the last few years, which has actually been quite exciting, because it forces you to then try and figure out, so what do we say about ourselves, and what do people say about us or think about us, and how do we merge those together, so that we're not going out saying one thing but the market really thinks something else. So a bit of a almost like a self-reflection was part of that journey as well, which was extremely powerful.
And you also are a comedian, which is, you don't usually see the stereotype businessman heading up a company kind of thing, as well as being a comedian as well. So how's that been for your work, and that has it the combination, has it helped you in business, being that comedian side of things, as well as being heading up businesses?
100%. So I truly believe people deal with people. So if you enjoy dealing with someone, business is not going to be easier to do, but business, in my opinion, will be a lot higher opportunity for repeat business, right? So that's the first thing. So and the second thing is that we're all adults, and we all just are normal people that have conversations. The fact that you are either a CEO of a massive financial firm, or you are a junior designer who's just starting out in their career, and you're both standing around a braai, and someone's got to turn the meat, someone's got to cook it well. It doesn't matter who you are. There's still fundamentals in terms of who we are and how we operate, right? So what I've found is that by adding that to, I suppose, my little repertoire of things that I do has been truly valuable. It's another conversation piece for not only myself, but for the business. Because as you say, it's quite different. But more importantly, from a delivery perspective, when you say, how did it help the business? If you've ever surfed or snowboarded or skateboarded or wakeboarded, any kind of standing sideways sport, you can learn another standing sideways sport if you already are familiar and comfortable with another, right? Because it's how your body operates. And I truly believe it's the same with the kinds of things that I do. So my stand-up comedy, every time I do a comedy gig, something will happen that would assist my next gig doing a talk. And doing something during my talk will help then do something when I MC. And MC will help when I facilitate. And when I facilitate, it will help when I train or coach or this or that. So it's always about standing in front of people. It's just the medium that changes. So every time, guaranteed, I get up, it's going to help something else for me. And it'll just keep getting better. So whether you're MCing a big corporate event that's very serious or sort of highbrow, or you're emceeing a gig that's a bit more fun, you're able to adapt between those because you've got other things around you that's helping you and getting your mind right for that particular point in time. So I tell everybody, if you want to be a better speaker, try a little stand-up comedy, or do a speech somewhere. MC someone's wedding. I don't care. Just stand up in front of people. That is the only way that you're going to get better. When people say, I want to be a better presenter, then I say, well, present.
That's quite interesting that those skill sets are interchangeable in that, and you are able to adapt them to your environment, which I'm sure is quite useful. Um, and you mentioned that we're living in a world now where there's more data and information and access at our fingertips than ever before. Um, but is there any sector that you believe is innovative and excites you, or a company that you think is doing something different that stands out from the pack? Is there any company that jumps to mind?
So it's so tough, right? Because it's all very subjective in terms of what you like. Um, I've always very much been a fan of Hootsuite, not necessarily because of they allow you to set up all your social profiles and schedule things. That's there's tons of those, but more importantly, when they put a role in place in their business called, and that role was, the person was referred to as the czar of bad process. And the czar of bad processes job was to go around and see where that business was not running efficiently or effectively or aligned to the strategy or process or tactics. And their job was to go out and fix it. And I think that's extraordinary because so many people don't consider that. You know, they look at stuff every now and again and say, "Listen, how do we fix this?" Or, "Hey guys, please put something in the suggestion box of what we can be doing better. How do we make your working experience better for you?" And for the most part, people don't. Um, it's work. It's extra work. Like you need warm bodies on the ground to be able to go out and make things happen. And with someone like Hootsuite, for example, putting that role in place was for me extremely powerful and a message out to everybody that works within the business, customers, suppliers, you name it, that these guys have dedicated an individual to go out and make things better. And for me, that's extremely powerful. And there's so many people now who aren't quite afraid of making that a reality. In this, I'm a big fan of Liz Wiseman's multipliers, and in the book they talk about how your staff's mental and your intellectual ability. They did a bit of a research around the world, and roughly 20 to 50% of staff feel like their intellectual capacity is being maximized in that business. Now, so what we all think is, oh no, like Don is at capacity, he can't possibly go through that. But you're not giving Don a chance. You're not trying to open Don's horizons or open Don's mindset or give Don more opportunities, whatever that may be. So there's this really, really horrific thing, and it's very much from a corporate South Africa space, and I'm almost certainly around the world, is that this beautiful logic of addition, and just add more people to the problem. Because if Don can only do this, well, then we need another person to get double done. But there are other things that you can do in terms of multiplying people that you can then enhance and activate more of their intelligence. And people are afraid of that. They're saying, "Ah, well, screw it. We'll just put another body in a seat, get them a laptop, speak to IT, and then give them some KPIs and get them to do stuff, and just give it the same as the guy next to them because now we're getting double." Instead of making that person better, dude, like I truly believe, and I've had this belief since I was about 18 years old, that we're on this earth to grow and be better. Okay, in whatever capacity and in whatever way we feel we should be, and as long as you're growing and getting better, life is good. Okay, because then what's going to happen is you're going to start spreading that love around you. And I don't want to get all too esoteric and philosophical about it, but it really, really is. And a lot of leaders of businesses struggle to get that done within their own business because it is a lot of work.
I like that. I've definitely feel like that from some of the roles I've previously worked in, and that you kind of do feel very much that is like they just throw people at problems, and it's sometimes the answer lies with the people already sitting there. You just need to give them maybe a bit more responsibility or give them a bit more development in that, and then they can tackle the problems.
Absolutely, and oftentimes it sits in their minds, man. And it's ready to be sort of elevated and launched. But so many people are afraid, So for the last 2 decades, we've been working with mostly corporates, and the idea of things when people say things like, "Oh no, 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 that's corporate suicide. I couldn't do that," or they say, "No, no, no, that's above my pay grade." I'm like, wow, man, like the fact that you have been conditioned, because it is really just a matter of conditioning, right? To have people think and feel that way. If you're conditioned to feel like, no, 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 that's above my pay grade, I can't even touch that, I can't even experience that, or I can't even share that because that'll be corporate suicide if I say the wrong thing. I'm like, wow, that is what a beautiful job you have. Ooh, I'm so jealous. Let me just think about that for a moment. Like it's ridiculous, but it's a reality.
Mm. Yeah, and that's something I guess that you as well trying to dismantle that predispossessed or ideology. Um,
Yeah.
but maybe in closing, mental health has become like really important when it comes to in business, especially in the last oh, recent years, kind of thing.
Mm, mm.
How do you find balance in your life when it comes to the mental, physical, emotional side of things?
So I've generally been quite I think aware of where I am from a personal perspective and a work perspective, but oftentimes I've gotten it completely wrong. In June, July 2018, for example, I had spread myself so thin when I was running Missing Link that I was everything to everybody, okay, which meant I was nothing to nobody. And I couldn't get out of this rut until I was away. My wife forced me to go away on holiday. It was in the middle of the year. I thought she was mental, and it was so difficult to get my head around that because I was working first thing in the morning. I was working till late at night, and so the work was a taking over my life. And she was like, "No, no, no, we need to go away." And then on the Monday morning of the holiday, I was sitting on this beach in Zanzibar and stupidly checked my email. And I got an email from a customer that basically said that my involvement in a particular project was absolutely um, useless, and I didn't add any value at all. And I mean, just take a moment to consider when you're on holiday and you get this message from a customer and someone that you really like, and it absolutely killed me. I subsequently called the bar on the beach, and we had lots and lots of cocktails to try and help myself just get over this. But it was a beautiful thing because when I saw that, it hurt me. But then I started to, obviously, I couldn't help myself think about it, and then I realized that I was spread too thin and I wasn't giving my all to the right stuff. And I started changing things, and I came back to the business. I shared the story with the team, and then told them how things are going to be changed, because I need to focus on the right things, not everything, and then driving a bit more autonomy and accountability within the business. Not to say again that they weren't capable of it, but just that I thought I needed to be on top of a lot more things that I needed to be, and that was for me extremely powerful.
Well, thank you for your insight. Appreciate all the things we've spoken about. And yeah, thanks for your time.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, thanks very much, and good luck with the rest of these. I'm excited to hear them all.